Hello, good morning. Welcome into another episode of Good Morning Nasdaq right here on the Clover Trading YouTube channel. My name's Dom. That is Huddie, or at least the words Huddie. He promises he'll have a camera this week. Hope you guys are having a great Monday. It is the 16th day of September, year of our Lord 2024. Kind of an up and down week last week. So far, September has been kind of I don't even know what the word is. It's been kind of choppy in terms of overall opportunities. There hasn't been a bunch of A pluses. We've had some weird runners. We've had some squeezers. We've had some gappers play out, which we'll talk about today. We have a couple gappers on scan. We've had some really interesting larger cap or larger price stocks moving and setting up for potential first red days this week. What do you think about September as a whole so far? Here as we hit, I think today is the halfway point in the trading month of September. What are your thoughts so far?
I think the month is just hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to our channel. I think the month is going by quite quickly. I mean, the fact that you just said it's halfway through the month is like I feel like it's still September 11th or 9th or whatever, and it's the 16th. So yeah, I think my motto going into the rest of the month is keep what I got, but continue to push on what's been good. I think the main thing here is just risk management, right? Like if there's a field of situations where a lot of the stuff that's like kind of popping up doesn't really fit your bill for what you like to trade, you got to play defense. And the best defense wins the game, right? So that's kind of my motto going forward. I don't mind what's going on. I feel like there is volatility. I feel like there is stuff to kind of attach onto. And so it's just being about patient and waiting for things to truly come in your lane. So without further ado, let's kind of go over the gappers for the day. We still have some 100% gap ups coming into market open. That's always a good sign. We do like to see a market that's filled with gappers, volatility, volume. That's all good stuff.
For sure. We'll get into that right here in a moment. Make sure, as always, that you just check right now and make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. We post content we post long form content every Monday. And then we are live every single day the market is open, Monday through Friday at 8:45 a.m. Wednesdays at 9:15 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern for a Wine Wednesday. So you're not going to want to miss any of that. If you're already showing up, make sure that you are subscribed. If you're not and you're new, welcome in. Happy to have you and appreciate you being here. Let us know if there's anything you need, any questions you have, any tickers you want to talk about. We'll get to them towards the end of the show. But this is Good Morning Nasdaq, and we like to talk about the gappers first, talk about their catalyst, the overall theme right now in the market, their daily charts, and how we piece all those pieces together. We'll get into it. We got Mash for Fun, Thomas, Jabril, Sandre, Fernando, all checking in. Good morning. Good morning. Some familiar faces, some new faces. Don't be afraid to get over there in the comments section and chat it up. All right, hit that thumbs up button as well. We'll get after it. First and biggest gapper of the day, NCNA. Nickna. Let me get this here. Nucana pick or PLC. All lowercase. What does PLC stand for?
I don't know.
You don't know, but it's a biotech out of the United Kingdom. Welcome in a little bit of multiculturality. It's a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company focused on significantly improving treatment outcomes for patients with cancer by applying its ProTide technology to transform some of the most widely, prescribed chemotherapy agents, nucleoside analogs into more effective and safer medicines. It's one of those things where if I start the initial sentence there, I have to continue it, and if it's a three-liner, it could take a minute. 1.9 million float on a 13.5 million market cap. It doesn't look like I see news today, but 2 days ago, which would have been, is this right? Saturday morning at 3 a.m.?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, maybe they're experimenting with something.
Kingdom.
Yeah, I guess. Something different. Nucana presents encouraging data on NUC 7738 in combination with pembrolizumab and PD-1 inhibitor. All right, what do you think about this news?
For me, it's always like kind of the only thing I really I haven't looked at it, but is it a phase result? And what phase is it?
More of it's just encouraging data. Phase 2.
Well, you said a bunch of words that I have no idea what they mean.
And no one
So
knows
it's
what they
really,
mean. I don't think
it's
they
really hard to
understand that no one
decipher.
knows what they mean.
Really hard to decipher what I really think of the news. I just think it's gapping up because of it. Now the question is it going to hold its gap up? And what I really would put more merit into is their cash position, their existing dilution, their shelves, which they have some. They have some availability. They have a 6 million ATM from back in 2021 from good old Jeffrey, $6 million ATM. And they have a shelf that's pending effect from August 2024.
With the same
So
amount.
two different ways to be a little dirty if they wanted to be, I would say. And kind of a history of failing here on the chart. If you want to go to the daily chart, I mean, it's a low float. Other than that, it's a low float. So that's what I take from the fundamentals.
What day is this? So 8/19. Looks like they just kind of didn't gap but ran. Of course, there's no news on that day. I don't know if that was what was that?
On the 13th, March 13th, big old gap and crap day. And probably, I want to say a reverse split. I want to say a reverse split since then.
It would make sense. I remember seeing this one at some point in our lives. I don't remember adding this one or seeing this back here last month on this move from the 3s to the 10s. And all their news has pretty much been about, let me see here, been about their drugs, but they did regain compliance a couple months ago. But I don't see anything about a reverse split. Makes you go, All right, but yes, like you said, daily chart wise, this is a stock that, at least from that run recently, there is some resistance overhead from the $6 to $10 area. We've already since stuffed that this morning. Going back, there's a gap and crap that tops out around $20 from earlier this year as well. Volume this morning is already overwhelming all of those days as we kind of open mid-range between the 4s and the 10s, up from the 2s this morning into the 6s, up 153% right now. As I go further back on the daily chart, I don't really see anything except a trend that is top left to bottom right. It seems as the years goes on, the stock price gets lower and lower and lower. There really isn't a whole lot of volatility, isn't a whole lot of one-off runners. I think I see a little gap and crap here from 2021 as well. And then, 2 years go by and we don't really have a day noteworthy of any volume where we do more than like 5,000 shares. So this is kind of fresh, but not really fresh because of that resistance from this year. Going into this week, what are your thoughts? Every week I feel like it's different going in with the gappers. Anything you took away from last week? Anything going on this month in history? Anything where you go, okay, 1 point, what I say, 9 million float, pretty clean dilution. They can do some things, but they have a lot of cash and have decent news. What do you think?
I honestly have no idea what it's going to do.
I need more.
Yeah, well, that's the truth. Like, I just don't know if this is going to be like one that gets targeted as a low float and squeezes super hard off this like middle of the range, or if it just falls apart. The daily chart doesn't really tell me anything. Like, it's not like this is XXII from last week, and I'm like, oh, I think this is absolute crap. Like, I just don't know if it's crap. I operate under the principle that most of these things are crap, but you're always going to have the one-off squeezers, and there are certain situations that I feel more confident about. And this, I just has a history of failing, has failed twice on gap ups before, but has since, I think, done a reverse split, because I don't remember this one being that price. Could be misinformation there. But it's just if it's a recent reverse split and it gets volume and it's a low float and it's got a PR that people like that I don't understand, I don't know what it's going to do.
Yeah, someone says it was reverse split on 4/16/24. So after that gap and crap in March. So in April, they did a reverse split. So a lot of time has passed. So it's been a relatively low float for most of the year now. Yeah, I don't have too many thoughts here either. It is the biggest gapper, which means they'll probably draw the biggest crowd. Going to today, it's already done, 12 million shares. So you do have some resistance right here in the 8 to 10 area. That, even if the volume is a lot lower, probably going to come into play just because at those levels, the stock is going to be up 200, 250%, which is a lot for a small cap penny stock. And it would be a lot to overcome that and to push higher into the 12, 13, 14 area. So I think odds just in general, technically, favor that this doesn't go much higher than where it's gone already this morning. But it's one of those things where you kind of said, I don't know what it's going to do. And that's really the truth of it with every gapper. And that's just why I rarely ever trade them over the course of my entire career, especially the long side, is because it is so difficult to figure out which ones have the juice. I don't think this is the right news for the juice on a Monday morning. If this one were to run wild, then maybe phase 2 data becomes the hot of the week, but predicting that is difficult. So this is probably an avoid for me, but I do expect this to be one of the more interesting stocks of the morning for a lot of gap and crappers and a lot of gap and goers. What's the intraday look like this morning? Kind of fading off its highs. Just kind of trying to consolidate in the low sixes right now. So we'll see if it has any push, any juice in it and wants to go a 200-300% today, or if it is just going to fail and like that day earlier in March and head back towards the 3s and 4s. So that's NCNA, the biggest gap up the day, up 150%. And that's pretty much taking the cake as far as the most entertainment goes for Gap City. The other ones we have are BBLG, DRMA, XCure, BBLG up 65%. So we can move our attention towards that. But it is way off the highs right now as well. So we just hit on it real quickly. All these lower price or these lower percent up ones. Bone Biologics BBLG is a 1.86 million float medical device industry out of the United States with a 2.4 million market cap. 8.9 months of cash. 12 days ago, they presented at a conference. So this looks like just a bottom bouncer where I had a pretty severe red day we'll talk about on Friday, and then it's just kind of bouncing back, which is always an interesting mechanism I see in these charts. Anything in the dilution there that really whets your beak?
They repriced some dilution to $2 back in August. So that's kind of a recent event here and hasn't really been above $2 since August. So if they get it up there with volume, I think there's some incentive. And other than that, I don't think it's a good company. But just looking at the daily chart, it has a tendency to spike and wick really hard off the highs and then close red. It's done it once and twice. And kind of a third time, maybe 2.5. So, yeah, I expect it to kind of act like a low float. But at the end of the day, I think this is not a good company.
Yeah, I don't see any news. I see this as being a stock that someone sold a lot or some stops went off. And we went from 120 down to 80 cents on Friday. And now, maybe there's news that we're not seeing. It happens all the time, so wouldn't be surprised. And it's just kind of bouncing back, right back into the range it was at. 120s area. It is yet to hold these gains so far, hitting as high as 175, still in that kind of iffy zone where how interesting is it really at 60% on the day, around 130. Volume is kind of chugging along and being quite a little consistent. Almost 10 million on the day already. This is another stock that has a history of failure here after running and a history of lower highs, with the closest one being 175, which is where we topped out today. And some volume overhead here. So kind of a bag holder chart, one that I expect failure if it spikes too much too soon. I wouldn't be surprised to see fades just because that is the history of this stock. So this is one more where I look less into the dilution tracker and the news, and I look more into the daily chart and what does it tell me? What is the picture that it paints? And the picture that this paints is a stock that is going to have trouble sustaining itself and trouble holding its gains, because even in past lives it had trouble doing that when there wasn't as much overhead behind it. So that is BBLG. See what you guys are saying over in here. Jabril says, did you guys see Tenon up 3,000% Friday pre-market? We did, and we talked about it. And if you were here, you would have seen it. We're pretty much talking about any gappers that we're seeing. And that was one of the more interesting ones. I think Kyle kind of shared with us his perspective on that, with that type of stock and that type of movement. Knives said, Dom, did you nail Wheeler Friday? No, I don't know what Wheeler did. Wheeler just kind of had just a random bounce back day. So no, I didn't trade it. Below trading says PLC stands for Public Limited Company. Good to know. Well, I don't know why that wouldn't be all caps, but keep looking. Okay. Let's see here. Anything else on the gapper list that makes you go, woo?
No.
Nothing?
That feeling has not come to mind today.
Anything on Drama or XQ or any of these other lower tier gappers?
I feel like I have the same thoughts as BBLG on all of them.
So let's go through some of their charts real quick. DRMA. Yeah, these all have pretty much the same idea. If you just rinse and repeat previous spikes, recent. I wonder if they all ran together or something, and they all are friends. But it looks like a similar daily chart. We have runs that didn't hold, bounces that didn't go higher, and then fades. And now we're bouncing into that area. So fail, fail, fail is what I would expect. XQ pretty similar as well. A lot lower volume here. And it looks like it's already failing a little bit more than the others. But wicks to the sky, resistance in the mid to high threes into the mid to high fours, and a lot closer to lows than we are those levels. And I just feel like it's going to take a lot to get a lot of these up there. And maybe if someone does, it's like 1 out of 4. But I think it's pretty clear and obvious that NCNA is at least, something's not tracking here. That's not right. But even NCNA with the resistance over, it seems like every single one of these this morning has resistance overhead, and it's not that far away. And the news really isn't all that life-changing. So overall, it looks like a day in which I don't expect gappers to be all that crazy. It doesn't mean one can't squeeze. It doesn't mean that a stock way down on the list here, let's say VUZI at 6.8%. There's no saying that can't go and do something. We've seen it plenty of times where it doesn't have to be a high gapper to go crazy. We've seen stocks go from 5, 10, 15, 20% and have nice runs. It's just that majority of the attention at the open is placed on the highest percent gappers. That's where you're going to get the most fades if you're a short bias trader. That's where you're probably going to get the biggest squeezes if you're a long bias trader. So that's where a lot of the attention is. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. But those are the biggest gappers of the day. NCNA, BBLG, some back burner, DRMAs, XCURs. Jabril doubles down on it and says Tenon, old news after gapping up 3,000% Friday. Well, I don't think did it gap up 3,000%? Or did it just run? On Friday, it gapped up from 4 to 12. So 200%. It just went to 100 in pre-market. And I don't even know what. Yeah, I don't even have it on mine. Yeah, I with this chart, I don't know if you have any words. I know this is probably more of a Kyle, but it's just an avoid for me. Any stock that can have a gap and crap on day one, and then you wake up the next morning at 4 or 5 a.m. and it's at 100, and then all the way back down at 12 by the open. It's not necessarily a stock I want anything to do with. Is that $90 of risk or whack potential, one random halt up and $20 higher, worth the $2 of downside from here? It's not for me. Huddie?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, for me, it's kind of screwed on both sides. On one side, like, I never know, these are highly manipulated things, and I never know when they're going to dump. So I don't really want to be involved with them long because I think they're really sketchy. And then as on the short side, like the risk of them, going 3,000% when I'm not watching is not worth my career, right? It's incredibly frightening. So for me, it's an avoid on both sides. When I see these tickers, I just don't even watch them. There's a lot of clues as to what these tickers are and what they've been able to do in the past, especially when looking at their charts. So they're easily identifiable as just a batch of tickers that I just try to avoid. That's my only thoughts on them. Like, I think they're dangerous. I don't need to make money on them or lose money.
Someone says, what about VRAX? What about it? You tell me. I see it's not gapping 33%. Monkeypox ticker has bounced steed. Big move from the ones to the eights. Did it hit $9? Lower highs, fade off. I don't have any thoughts on VRAX. I actually deleted it last night when I was making my watch list. It's like you can just like dial that up perfectly. The second you take something off your watch list that's been there too long, the second it comes back some way, and you see it on a scanner or something. No thoughts on VRAX. MNPR third day surge. I don't know what that is. But when I look at MNPR, gap and crapper on day one from the 5s as low as the 3s. Kind of an inside day on Friday. Yeah, this is not my specialty. I mean, you theoretically, I guess, could look at this like reversal, but the run wasn't all that great. 2s to the 5s. It's just a little over 100% move. There's enough range for this to bounce back into the 450, 480 area, but I'm not looking at it. It's not on my watch list. I don't know if it's. If it's not on mine, I doubt it's on Huddie's. But
I mean, yeah, I just don't know what a third day surge is. But if we're watching this for like a multi-day breakout, saying it's holding up in the 4s and it might break 5, like that's a situation that I would probably come back to if it was up at 5 and trading some decent volume and consolidating well and holding levels. Like I'd kind of be interested in that, but I'm not in the business of predicting that's going to happen because I really don't know if this is just about to break down or like have a small little pop and then break down. Like I have no idea. I have no conviction in it from down here. I don't see the pattern from down here.
yeah, it's too predictatory. Is that a word? Too predictive.
Assumptive.
Assumptatory. Sorry. Geez, a lot of tickers that I don't know. So they also said Holo. Thoughts on Holo? Usual bounce or overdue? With what one of the 3 fake adjectives we just used, from predictatory to predictive to assumatory, this one fits that bill. You want to trade a Chinese pump
In the midst of dilution.
weeks after at new lows, weeks after its most recent pump. Be my guest. I don't encourage it, but I'm not allowed to give advice. So I will not be doing that. And this is a stock that is so far from anywhere near a watch list of mine. Even if it ran to 40 cents today, it wouldn't come near my watch list. You got to know what you're trading, though. If that's what you do and you look for stocks near lows to bounce them and expect there to be some sort of pumps, more power to you. That's just not what we do and what we teach. We talk a lot more about recognizing good daily charts after strong runs. And, there was a place for Holo, right? You look back here, and this was a play in which I was trading this every couple days, right? You had an amazing 2-day run. After Kyle and Huddie got squeezed on the first day, we got a big gap up the second day. An amazing first green day here. A bounce short if you're into that thing. A multi-day breakout over the 40s that went all the way up towards 100. There's a place for it, but once we've kind of hit this stage where on a 180-day chart, you can't even see the days for most of them because this range is so big. Like that, we got an issue. We're talking about a stock that went to 100 is at 20 cents right now. So I think you have to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, and not necessarily actually trading, but in terms of what stocks you allow near your watch list.
Kenny Rogers reference.
Jimmy Rogers III was his brother, anyway. But yeah, I think it's just important to know, what stocks you need to be watching, especially in months like this, where even the stuff that's been at the top of the watch list hasn't always been treating us with the utmost respect. So, alrighty. Well, that's the hour. Heidi, I'd love for you to close this thing out. Tell everyone more about you and what can they expect for the rest of the week.
I'm just going to tell everyone good luck. Have good plans, follow, execute, and try not to make any mistakes. And we'll see you guys for Good Morning Nasdaq tomorrow morning.
8:45 a.m. tomorrow morning. We'll see all you Clovers over in the room right now. We'll talk about some potential first red days we have and some weirdly overextended stocks from last week. And take a look at our watch list going into the open in 15 minutes if you want access to that. Clovertrading.io. And you get yourself access to our 2 live webinars this week. All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a wonderful, wonderful start to